Welcome back to Raid Guides in a Trenchcoat featuring Vesper's host, the Shallow Stone Crypt, the Deep Pebble Crypt, the Deep Stone Singular Burial Plot. I don't know. Take your pick. I can only imagine the look of panic on the dungeon design team's faces when they were told, hey, we should probably make a Europa dungeon next after releasing the already snow-covered Warlord's Ruin. Vesper's host takes everything you loved about running the Glycon every week, defungifies both the walls and the Elixni, and then gives you the Omicron variants of all of your favorite Deepstone Crypt staples. And honestly, thank God that Bungie released a spooky dungeon just in time for me to make a scary Halloween-appropriate video again this year after Final Fantasy bailed me out last year. Taxes! Ooh. Load into the Lethal Company building planet and then work out how to get inside without angering the tentacle monster that could make itself known at any moment. You'll start to see Fallen running around with little fruit debuffs where this little man has the lemon of listening and this good boy has the strawberry of slapping. Kill them and steal their buffs, which you can definitely only hold on to one of at a time. And I don't care what your local Food and Drug Administration says, once it's off the tree it belongs in the fridge, you lemon stealing whores. Now that you've picked it up, your fruit buff will start a 60-second timer, after which it will spoil, rot, and sunset you alongside it. So when you do your grocery scavenging, make sure that you put the perishables into the refrigerator before you go on your 3 hours of doom scrolling. Thus begins the first major roadblock as the dungeon forces you to learn how to use these buffs in the most accidentally brute forceable way possible. Pick up the strawberry of slapping and slap these lit up red wall panels like it's the Crocodile Dentist game that some sadist glued X-Acto blades to the teeth of. If you hit the bad tooth, you die, and the panels randomize. If you hit all 4 of the good teeth, even if by accident, then it lets you progress further. In truth, this seemingly RNG-coded sequence can actually be read by using the Lemon of Listening. Pick up the buff and run towards one of the panels that are understandably a lot harder to locate when they aren't glowing bright red. As you approach it, it'll do a little doo-doo sound if it's safe to shoot, and then you'll get a very aggressive if it's the one you need to avoid. For all 4 of the good panels, have your friend slap them with the strawberry of slapping, or, if you're masochistic enough to do this dungeon alone, go back to the fridges to swap your buffs around and shoot them yourself. Now, for all of the experienced raiders who might happen to be watching a guide video with your fists clenched into little balls right now, I need you to calm the fuck down. Nobody watching this dungeon guide is going to be looking at their mini-map while holding the scanner buff to see these yellow striped hexagons, and nobody's going to notice that when you go close to them they'll either turn white to be shot, or disappear to indicate that they shouldn't be shot. It's just not gonna happen. Gamers, don't look up, especially not up and to the left. Anyways, with all 4 of the panels shot, the airlock will open and you'll get one of those material emancipation grids from the Portal series to strip you of your buffs so that you don't accidentally forget to cleanse yourself of them, and then you'll be let into the rest of the station. Now, once again I have to ask why they put the landing zone over here when the rest of the station you'll come to find has been blown wide open, but that's a discussion for plot holes in a polo shirt or something. Subtle plug for story beats in a Speedo. Anyways, head into the next room and crawl behind this broken panel to another maintenance shaft filled with more tripwire mines than oats in a Lucky Charms box, and after some twists, turns, and straight up pitfalls, you'll land in front of some audiophiles, custom subwoofer, as well as the starting point of the first encounter. Reboot the mainframe next to what looks like the top half of Clovis Bray's head and watch as the Fallen try to take a page out of the Cabal playbook by dropping a brig right on your head. Killing that brig opens 3 doors allowing you into the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, and the God I'm so incredibly nervous system. You'll also find a Lemon of Listening to the police scanner without any nearby refrigerator to deposit into and prevent you from dying to its 1-minute timer. Enter into any of the 3 doorways where you have a 66% chance to have to do a ship wreckage parkour and a 100% chance to end up fighting these 2 yellow bar damage scrub daddy sponges. Kill not just the daddies, but the women and children too, and that will open up the next section with 2 more yellow bars and a seemingly inexhaustible supply of red bar shanks. Kill the strawberry guy, you smooth operator, and then you'll be met with another set of panels where 4 need to be shot and 2 will seppuku you. Use the scanner, then crack open that 6-pack, and honestly 4 hits and 6 boosters is a way better rate than I ever get. Not to mention that the last pack you open is going to have a core pull so rare that you'll want to snack it and carry it off for PSA grading. But don't leave it on the ground for too long because then it's going to become a 9.5 and that's practically worthless. You need to get that thing triple sleeved and into a top loader ASAP before it sat on the ground for a minute and disappears. Protect your nuclear core as you fight your way back to the main room through these Hiya no Mi shanks while gaining stacks of everyone's favorite radiation. 10 stacks, and you die. For those of you familiar with the Deepstone Crypt, you can still do the same core stealing to prevent your teammates from overdosing on tasty radiation stacks, but you can also just drop the core because it's not like it's super glued to your hands or anything. And because the radiation stacks fall off faster than Warwick in the late game, you won't need to leave that core on the ground for very long anyway. Back in the main room, another brig will have taken up residence, which needs to be dealt with to unlock the Dungaroos boxes, where you can finally deposit your core for safekeeping. You'll repeat these steps for each of the other two pathways, culminating in the third shift brig seemingly compensating for something. And if your teammate happens to jump off of the map while holding the core, you'll have to do that whole hallway over again with another of the massive health bar small cockpit brigs. Deposit all 3 cores to spawn a chest and open the secret 4th hallway into the Metal Gear Solid stealth mission segment of the dungeon. If you can't tell, Smash Bros. Is the closest to a Metal Gear game I've ever played. Cast your eyes upon this abomination of an STD-plagued servitor and try not to let it cast its eye on you. Every so often it'll start to cast integration, and if it's still got a clean line of sight on you 3 seconds later, then you just die. And if that doesn't give you the rain ick, then the explosive servitor diarrhea it seems to be constantly spewing out might just do the trick. In Five Nights at Freddy's fashion, you'll have to manage your power reserves, except instead of being forced to keep doors open, here you'll have to keep them closed. Each door you close will give you a stack of power that you can use to open a different door, which you'll need to balance as you kill fallen captains for more nuclear cores that go into numbered bins
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Find 1, 2, and 3 to lower this first barrier, then 4 won't be too far beyond, and dunking into the 5 box will open this door where you'll find the hole in the floor, then use it to corner this freak of mechanical nature. Rush into the servitor's nest and take note of all the numbers glitched into panels on the walls with no discernible pattern. These panels can be shot by the operator buff, which is floating around somewhere, but guess wrong and you'll end up 6 feet in the ground. At least then you'll be the same height as the old Hunter Vanguard. Get those strawberries into the refrigerator, but look around as you might for the scanner buff, and it'll be nowhere to be found. Only a seemingly unending flood of fallen red bars that you'll murder en masse until your service summons a yellow bar machine priest. Deal with him to evoke the servitor's memory banks, remembering how to teleport you and your fire team like it's the Ether Resupply public event. Outside of the station, fall onto a platform riddled with half the propagation swarm's worth of normal and explosive shanks, which you'll want to clear quick before they gang up on you and blow you sky highward. The boss will then continue to launch an Olive Garden bomb shelter's worth of meatballs at you until you can tag the solitary tracer shank for the blue raspberry of body duping. This buff makes the boss bright blue and takes away your ability to throw a grenade or strand grapple yourself out of danger in exchange for letting you make a fun little blue clone of yourself that blows up when shot by either you or the boss. Grab the buff and somehow manage to get under the boss without getting stopped so that you can set your boss suppressing trap card and then have your teammate detonate it while you get the fuck out of the way. The boss's unified front will crumble, showing you that, like me, it's just 10 baby servitors in a trench coat pretending to be something cohesive. Pay attention to the 10 servitors, as 2 of them will have dots on their faces relating to binary numbers that you'll need in order to solve the code downstairs. If you're somehow an endgame MMO gamer that hasn't ended up at least dabbling in computer science and have no idea how binary code works, fret not. All you need to know is that if this eye is lit up, add 1, if this eye is lit up, add 2, this eye means 4, and this eye means 8. Add all those lit eyes together for each servitor, where this would be 7, and this would be 10. They're also all named with their corresponding numbers, but I don't have a third hand to hold up my fucking magnifying glass to see what their health bars are labeled as while jumping around trying not to be forced to put on concussive dampeners. With those numbers read, jump back down through the nest hole and complete that whole cycle again. You'll need a full 4-digit code to enable facial recognition after a restart, and there is absolutely no point in trying to shoot them early because you'll need to shoot all of them in one operator pickup anyway. After the second round of number farming, grab yourself the operator buff and find the 4 number panels you read to trigger the damage phase. The boss will descend down into the arena alongside the blue raspberry trace shank from before, and you'll need to suppress the boss to split it from 1 sniper rifleable target into many Wardcliffe coil and explosive damage meltable targets. Hit him till he reforms, and then you've already done the mechanic cycle twice, so you're practically a pro. Cycle through this as many times as your suboptimal damage picks need. Watch all 10 of them dissolve into a cleaner looking version of the McDonald's ball pit, grab your loot, and then head back up to the door that opened to head out to the Spacewalk version 2. Jump across more space wreckage and watch out for all the arc energy that, in the wise words of any doctor I've ever spoken to about weird uncomfortable rashes, shouldn't be that color. If at any point you need a break from the stressful orbital assault, then you can hide in this little alcove with the screen and play Van Princess by reading out which symbol is flashing while someone smarter and braver than you furthers the quest progression in your stead. I'd point out some line of landmarks for you to follow along, but really it's just this gaping darkness hole filled with tripwires and the secret code secret chest that you can't use until you or your teammates have gone through the dungeon at least 3 times. It'll be freezing, there will be writing on the walls, and with a high electromagnetic field reading we can be sure that whatever is haunting this space station is a shade, even if the dot damage over times might lead you to believe it's an Oni. You'll go through more internal stuff before another external section, and then you'll end up ascending this pipeline and pulling up to the rave. Run up to Atrax 2, or maybe if the servitors in the last encounter are any indication, this is probably Atrax 9, and she'll fire off a purple flare to page Dr. Beat. One of those Nezarec crystal pulses from Root of Nightmares is going to come out of the anomaly, and the Leviathan Dog's trap door will open up behind you to grant you safe haven. And you know, come to think of it, this dungeon is just a little bit of every raid. The Root of Nightmares Nezarec Pulse, Leviathan Dog Bunker, Deepstone Crypt buffs, Scourge of the Past numbered ball deposits, hell, even Last Wish's wall to grant wishes using codes hidden elsewhere in the game. Anyways, once the pulse is passed, these double doors will open and the rally flag can be placed for the final encounter. Run up to the replication ball at the... Sorry, this smudged Sharpie on my hand seems like it says back of the room, but that can't be right, to start the encounter. 2 of these replications with body aura, as potent as the average Comic-Con attendee are going to start milling about. The aura around them will give you stacks of radiation if you stand in it while serenading you with the sound of them trying to get the last 3 milliliters of soda through the straw of their empty soda cup. This encounter requires all 3 buffs at some point or another, and you'll first find the suppressor buff holder which you'll need to obtain to deal with the soda suckers. Drop a clone of Febreze next to them to lower their natural defenses and kill both of them to spawn the scanner holder and the other half of their 4-man Gambit team. These 2 new Comic-Con creatures will need to be similarly suppressed and killed to spawn the operator buff. The scanner this time around will only be shown 4 panels where your options are 4, 2, 2, and 2. The one minimap hexagon that turns white will be the number you have to make your operator shoot all of. So if the 4 here is lit up, then you'll shoot the other 3 4s around the arena. Okay, actually it's the blue numbers on the pillar that you have to pay attention to, but my day 1 group managed to successfully fail our way through 2 full rotations of this before we realized that the red panels weren't what we were scanning, all because we were getting 4 and it kept working. Once you've shot all 4 of the appropriate panels, the boss will disappear and you should make sure that all of your produce is in the refrigerators before looking up to see what side of the room is running its fire drill. Slide down the fireman's pole shoot sans pole, and then one of the doors leads you down to the nightmare zone from that one Rick and Morty Fear Hole episode, while the other is a pretty straight shot to your objective where you'll arrive in either the left room, wink, or the right room, also wink. It's here that the boss is holed up for whichever of the respective national conferences correlates to that room. Don't let the blue room make an ass of you since there's so much cover, and the elephant in the red room is why they didn't deliver on their promise to erect more walls that you could hide behind. Dungeon politics aside, take your suppressor buff and throw it away. You can kill these chug juggers if you want, but they'll just respawn whenever you touch the suppressor buff, so I've found it's easier just to suffer through them. You'll need to take operator before scanner, funnily enough, and contrary to absolutely everything that the dungeon has tried to teach you up to this point, it is completely safe for you to shoot all of the panels in this room. There's no sneaky bad panel sitting in wait to wipe your solo flawless like everywhere else, just some good old-fashioned Deepstone Crypt, shoot A to make C happen. And what you'll Deepstone see happening is 4 Puppeteer clones, god it's so hard not to call them Atrax clones, who spawn in different spots in the room and, much like the Atrax encounter, you'll need to scan all 4 of them to find the one with your nuclear core amongst the other 3 with raid wipes. Take the core, deposit your buffs back into the fridges so that you don't have to go reclaim them later, and then pop down into the nuclear bunker to deposit the core and wait out the puppet master trying to bake you like a DiGiorno's frozen pizza. Its shield will be broken in half, and you'll have to traverse the trip mine-laden Leviathan underbelly in order to get up to the other party's chambers. Do the same operation, scanner, and slam dunking to cleanse the shield and scare the puppeteer back up to the anomaly. Fight your way back through the upper hallways to the rooms with the servitors where teleporters will have appeared to take you even higher back up to the airlock. Reload your weapons, step into the cannon, and get Eater of Worlds shot back up into the air where instead of trying to fall through rings, you're trying not to be blasted by the puppeteer evolving its Vampire Survivor's lightning ring into a Vampire Survivor's thunder loop. This orange lightning is fucking everywhere, and while I much prefer running gun bosses to sit and shit bosses, this one is so fucking excessive that Ted Cruz is trying to tap it for his private electrical grid. Unleash whatever damage meta you've brought to bear, and then forget to proc your buffs or whatever, as you're constantly forced to play your life amidst all of the roaming clones and lightning blasts. Halfway through the damage phase, the boss will cast an orange pulse, and if you've killed enough clones to get a nuclear core, then you can take it into this little room on the left to double your damage phase. Pop back out, empty your reserves, and then dive back down into the bunker to avoid the secondary pulse and do it all over again. Fight the Mormon soda slurpers 2x2 in the upstairs room, scan and operate on 4 appropriate panels to set off the fire alarms, head down to the first colored room, operate, scan, avoid the trip mines, and then run back up through the maze of corridors, teleporter, airlock, get boosted up into the air, and then I'd be willing to wager, unless you're running bait and switch min-maxed everything, that you're looking at minimally 3 rotations of this. But dispatch the Vesper's host of this party, and congrats! You've completed, well, Vesper's host. The end of this dungeon kind of feels like an early D2 strike in that it asks more questions than it answers, and sets up some unknowable entity that I'm sure we'll end up fighting in the future so long as Bungie doesn't raid wipe to Sony or the Reddit fanboys first. Go watch a real guide.